going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Ripple Effect Podcast. I am your host, Steve Harper. That's me, Mr. Ripple, hanging out, just doing my thing. I am in on a Saturday because, that's when I do my, the office is quiet. There's nobody up here bugging me. The phones aren't ringing, hopefully, and I am able to just be here 100% for you. And I am grateful for that. So I have to say, I don't have my multiple camera things set up here, but I reset the studio. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see, hey, the background's different. What'd you do, man? I see the Mandalorian poster in the back. I see my Yoda grocery bag hanging on the door. I got a quote back there. The quote says, "Success is a ladder that cannot be climbed with your hands in your pockets." That was given to me by my good friend, Ramin. He is with Optic Tours. He's a longtime fan of the Ripple Effect, huge supporter of mine, and one of my best friends. Good dude. Good dude. Anyway, I hang that proudly because that thing needs to just stay there by itself. That quote is absolutely insanely accurate. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, I just got back from vacation. I had a few people reach out to me after my last podcast and video that I did with the podcast. And by the way, if you're hearing this on the podcast, please do me a favor. Can you do a review on Apple Podcasts if you're getting some value from these podcasts? Helps me. Apple loves it. If you're on another environment or a platform, drop me a line, steve@ripplecentral.com. Let me know where your ears are tuning in. I would love to know because it's always fascinating. I don't get any of those metrics. Don't know where any of y'alls are coming from, where your ears you're tuning in. And so I would love to know that. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, my apologies. This is the face you have to deal with. But I would love for you to subscribe, and I'd love for you to drop a comment on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, you're like, "Hey, Steve, I've heard you talk about being on YouTube, but I didn't know." Yes, I'm on YouTube. You can find me. Just look for the Ripple Effect, Steve Harper. Find my channel. Boom. And there you go. You'll be able to subscribe. You'll be able to see all the other videos I'm doing. We're up in our game. Let's just say that. I have brought on some great engaged help on the video / social front, and they are pushing me harder than I have ever been pushed in my life to make better content and to keep putting content out there. And I'm not considered an influencer. I don't have that many followers on YouTube, and I'd like to change that. And I would like to. I think it could be my face. I do think that. I have said it on videos before. I think if I had a stand-in, Ryan Reynolds, Brad Pitt. I used to say Tom Cruise, but then he flipped out over the COVID situation. I think he'd just get on here and yell at you. "You idiots! You are idiots!" And that's of course not the message we want to give here. That would be not good in any way, shape, or form. But I do think, it could be this face that, it's like, I don't want to watch that guy talk. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch him eat. I don't really want to watch him drink coffee, although I'm going to right now. With my world's best boss cup that was given to me by my good friend and one of my teammates at my software company, Kyle Click. I think he didn't really mean that I was the world's best boss. I think he knew I was the Office fan. So I think I could be like Michael, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I'd like to think I was Jim. If I look like Jim, if I could get that dude, right, whatever his name is, to be on the video, people would tune in by the tens of thousands. But instead, I need to do what do you call it? A grassroots effort here to get people to be like, "Hey, look, this guy is quirky, weird, occasionally drops some, bombs of knowledge about rippling and adding value to people's lives. And maybe you check it out and, drop that guy a thumbs up or subscribe. And, he's just going to wet his pants when you do. He'll be so happy. He'll be so grateful. And he'll be able to sleep at night, So I'm just saying. Anyway, I just got back from vacation, and I was not really given a choice on where the family vacation was this year. Well, let's be honest. I'm never really given a choice on where the family vacation is going to be in any year. But this year, there was this plan and a direction for us to go to Utah. So we were going to, where do we go? Where do we go? Zion. We went to, oh crap. I'm trying to think of it in order. We went to Bryce Canyon, and then we went to Capitol Reef, and it was great. I mean, we stayed in the national parks for the first two. Those facilities were slowly, not slowly. I would just say very old and antiquated. My wife and my two boys were with me. I think we got on everybody got on each other's nerves. We were in close quarters. And then we went to this Capitol Reef thing, and we kind of had our own little cool, mini house, right? Like this tiny home, but it wasn't so tiny. And everybody could spread out, and, kind of have their own thing. And I kind of wish we had spent all of our time there, or most of our time there, because that was at the very tail end of our vacation, and we were all ready to kill each other. How is it that you go on family vacations? In your mind, it seems like it's going to be so great, but then, everybody's got a freaking opinion about what we're doing. And, I got to be honest. I mean, you guys get the best part of me. My family gets the worst part of me because I'm kind of a curmudgeon and grumpy. I don't like driving for forever. And then, having to and it was 1,000 degrees at this, first at Zion. And so that was not fun. And I mean, it was amazing. And we did the hikes, and it was great, and got some great pictures, and, just enjoyed that process, right? The hiking, and, didn't die of heat exhaustion. So that was positive. And, I got to spend some time, but then, you have these little runs, right? These little, times with your family where things are just going great. Everybody's happy. We're all jamming, and then stuff just falls off the rails. And somebody gets upset, somebody says something, next thing you know, everybody's piling on, blah, 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 blah. Family dynamics are jacked up. And, I'm more of a, hey, look, I deal with, people complaining and arguing and, stuff all day long, right? Whether it be my software company and my coaching clients that I work with for Ripple, or working on a keynote or a new training or whatever. And, it's my stuff is loud. It's noisy, right? My world is noisy day to day. And when I go to vacation, I just kind of want to I want to chill. I just want to chill. I am perfectly happy to be on a river with my fly fishing rod in my hand, whether I'm catching or not catching, because I don't catch that much, just doing that. And yet I put that out there. Every year, hey, look, let's just go find a cabin somewhere deep in the woods and relax. You got the whole wilderness. We get on each other's nerves. We can all go do different things. We did that last year. I got to give my wife credit. She did do that. But that was because the pandemic had everything else shut down. Otherwise, I think we'd be somewhere else. And I used to think family dynamic, it was hey, look, we just did that. We got on each other's nerve. We started being a little argumentative with one another when we're what my wife calls hangry, right? We're hungry and we're angry, agitated, ready to get to wherever we're doing or whatever, just get to our ultimate destination. But this time it wasn't like that. We were we'd go through these little runs of everybody's super happy and kumbaya, and then just boom, it's something happens. And, I will readily admit I am probably the root cause of that, because I wear my emotions on this ugly face. And so when I don't like something or I'm pissed off about something, it just falls right on my face. And, if you're watching this on the video, you see my crooked nose. My crooked nose goes even over further. I don't know what that is. That's some sort of thing I can't control. And it just is it's got a mind of its own. It's just, it's either going, it's agreeing, or most often or not, it's crinkled up. I absolutely do not want to do what you guys just proposed. I don't want to eat where you just proposed. I really wish you all would just stop talking and leave me alone. And, Drop me on a river somewhere. Come back for me in 8 days. But never seems to work that way. Anyway, I will say that my goal was to take 2 weeks away from the office. My wife intentionally knew, based if you listen to my last episode, I mean, my stress level has been pretty high, and her goal was to get me somewhere away from reliable Wi-Fi. So I was kind of looking forward to it, honestly. And then, kind of crap blew up at work where I had to deal with some stuff. And so that was frustrating because we had to drive into like the local town and spend time, stealing Wi-Fi from the local laundromat or whatever. It was just like, not good. That part was just kind of, not ideal. However, I just never got into vacation mode. I just never relaxed. I never really felt like I came into that zen, peaceful, relaxing, non-stressful environment at any given time. And therefore, when vacation ended and I was like last Sunday night, coming back, I got to go to the office, right? I just couldn't sleep. I'm like, oh my God. And this has been the worst week of not sleeping. Whole lot of other stuff, not just our family drama, but stuff going on with my dad and, a psychopath sibling and, anything. It's just all sorts of stuff going on, right? So I want a do-over on my vacation, but I just want the vacation to just be like me. I even was like Thursday afternoon, I'm like, Googling silent retreats, or I'm not like, I love meditation. I don't think I'm one of those, enlightened, attuned people. I think they would probably throw me out if I signed up for one of these meditation programs, like to go to like a meditation ranch or whatever. I feel like they would catch me and they'd be like, dude, you're out of here, man. You broke the rules. Just, your nose gives it away that you're not happy, whatever. And so, but I was like, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should like do a reset or whatever. I normally in the summer take a sabbatical, a little bit of a sabbatical, which I do not call a vacation. I'm very intentional about the time and the investment of time that I use for a sabbatical. I usually go to a rent house we have in Albuquerque, spend time writing, sort of brainstorming and kind of getting my mind right for the second part of the year. And that didn't happen due to a variety of circumstances. And so I just think this summer, I want a do-over. And that's, unfortunately, not likely to happen. And you could probably tell in my voice. Or if you're watching this video, I apologize. It's on my face. See? Right? I just like touch my nose to indicate, my displeasure. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I came back this week and I'm like, damn it, what am I going to do? Right? Sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go. God bless my wife for doing the trip and the planning. And I think in your mind, everything is going to be better than it ever ends up being. And when you get there, I mean, she said it actually, and it was kind of funny. Why do you think things are going to be so great? And then you show up and it's like, it's far from it. And I kind of feel bad. I kind of owe her a do-over because I was kind of like a little insolent child at certain points. I know, hard to believe, right? I mean, totally hard to believe as I'm wearing my comic book shirt and surrounded by a bunch of childlike memorabilia. You, of course, listening on the podcast don't see this. So another incentive for you to go over to my YouTube channel just to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I would admit I have a maturity problem, I guess, sometimes. And, it's just, I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it. What do you want from me? And so I kind of feel like I owe her a do-over as well. And I love the time. I mean, I love spending it with my boys. I love spending it with my wife. I made it sound like it was a lot worse than it really was. I did say at one point to her, I said, it's funny because when we all don't get along or there's, something going on, the things that bubble up are so momentarily irrelevant that provided we have our brains right and we focus on the right things, those things aren't what the memory will be made of. And I can remember trips that I was in the moment thinking, oh my God, this is a disaster, horrible, or I wish I'd never come. And I say that a lot, and I don't mean to. I'm just kind of I'm a Debbie Downer sometimes. Oh yeah, that seems like an appropriate name for my sister's name, Debbie, and she's Debbie Downer. I just made that mental connection. How ironic. Anyway, I digress. I won't go into that because that could be another 30 minutes of me telling you about crap that pisses me off. Anyway, I do have a tendency to kind of, when I'm off the Ripple clock, as I like to tell them, hey, look, man, I'm off the clock. I just want to be left alone. Don't be bugging me. If you ask me for my opinion where we're going to eat, don't just ignore what I just said. I mean, hello. And then, if I want to have 2 beers, don't get angry with me that I'm gonna need to go take a nap after, if it's the, lunch beers on vacation. That seems like a very reasonable thing to do. But then don't be like pissed off. I don't want to go 20-mile hike. God, I'm old, for Christ's sake. What do you want from me? Anyway, but I feel for her because she does her best to envision these great, great adventures. And they always end up being great adventures. And this trip was no different. I mean, the scenery, the direction that we went on all these hikes, we did go up. For those of you that know Zion, we hiked up really early one morning, like 5:30, dark. I mean, we were like going up Angel's Landing. We did, my oldest son, Zach, and I didn't want him going by himself. And I hate heights. So I knew I was dreading that hike when we did it, because I knew that, it was going to force me into a very uncomfortable comfort zone, it wouldn't be a comfort zone, into an uncomfortable position to have to go do something that I didn't really want to do. And he was gung-ho, of course, right? He's, 22, about to be 23. I mean, he's impervious. He's a superhero, right? And my wife wasn't going there, and Josh, my youngest, who's just turned 18, he wasn't going to do it. He doesn't like heights either. And so we all hiked up there, and they went to the observation little area kind of thing. I don't know what they call it, but, kind of a viewing spot. And then you're supposed to go like another half mile or mile to get to the end of Angel's Landing. I think we probably made it like 300-400 yards, went around a corner, and you're hanging on to this little chain, like this little thing that's almost at your knee level, right? So you're bending over, you're putting your body in a position that is not natural to begin with. Who or what genius put that crap in? And then you're seeing that, hey, look, if I happen to slip and I go off here to my right, there is nothing to stop me, right? You are just, boom, right to your death. And I'm like, why do people do this? Why does this seem like a really good idea? I would think the Parks Department, honestly, would be on, kind of a mindset of we want like return customers. So we probably shouldn't put people in harm's way so that maybe they'll come back, right? Or they'll go to another park next year. But, no, let's put you on the face of almost death and then give you this little tiny chain to hang on to. So we were there early enough that there was no pressure on the chain. We saw a guy who had started out about the same time we did from the lodge that we were hiking from, and a really nice guy. And he's like, yeah, we hiked it yesterday, went up there, but there's no way I was going to have my family do it. So I committed, I'm going to do it. And so he was gung ho, and I'm getting up to Angel's Landing. The pitch, if you will, to get there was significant. I mean, we went up 1,089 feet, which doesn't sound high, but I'm talking about from elevation, right? So 1,089 elevation, and it is a booger bear to get that, get up there. And I was proud of myself. I mean, you're higher elevation anyway. And, my wife was a champ. I mean, she did a great job. All of us got up there, no problem. But then as Zach and I started to kind of head down the chain, here comes this guy, right? He clearly did not go to the end because it takes a long time. And he just said, I got up to about where I felt comfortable. And beyond that, I was not comfortable. And I was just, it's not worth it. And my wife was already like not sleeping last night, thinking I was going up here by myself. And I just need to make the smart decision. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he's telling us this as we are about to go up and try and get to that first level with the chain. And I'm looking at Zach, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? He's like, yeah, gung ho, yeah, heck yeah, Dad, we're going to do this. This is fantastic. I'm like, you stupid 23-year-old testosterone crap. I'm like, all right, I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to do it, right? I wasn't even bitching about it, right? I'm just going to go. And so I went, and we started up, and he's like actually holding onto the chain like dear life. And he and I are on the chain, and we're like wiggling each other. There's like give for days on this chain. And the guy that had come down said, look, I'm glad I came up early because when this thing gets crowded, people have to leapfrog. So if you go up, people, if you're slow, somebody's going to leapfrog you, right? Or as people come down, you have to accommodate for them, which means you're taking your hand off of this lifeline of a chain that everybody else is holding on to. And the whole system does not seem smart. You go up one direction on a chain and you come down one direction on the chain. And the two are just fraught with, conflict. And that conflict has death consequences. So it didn't seem like a really good setup to me. And so when this guy tells us that, and he's like, but you guys could go up a ways. I mean, I think you're probably going to you probably have more courage than I do. Like, I'm looking at this guy. He looks like Mr. Frickin' marathon fitness dude. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm like a frickin' superhero, bro. No, I'm not. Are you kidding? I'm like, dude, you look like you could fall. My dog's here today. Sorry. He just, I didn't want you to think I was itching my ear. That was my dog. AKA Henry, AKA the Ripple Dog. He came to the studio with me today. Hey, chill, bro. Relax. Lay down. You're messing with my story here. He's pissed because he was at a doggy, spa for, 2 weeks thinking we had abandoned him. Poor guy. Totally different podcast episode that I need to do. Anyway, so he's still angry with me. But, this thing just did not seem like a good idea. But we started up. And to my son's credit, he had the gusto, and then you could start to see it, maybe diminish a little bit. And we got up kind of around this little corner, and I'm realizing, it is just like, there is no margin for error, and we don't have anybody pushing us, pressing us. There's no, there's no stupid tourist that thinks, they're the greatest climber that there ever was. That they're just going to, chug on through. And I could just see somebody doing that and forcing, you to make a bad decision, which that bad decision means a misstep. And that misstep there's no do-over. There is no safety net. There's nothing. And we got up to a point, and, of course, my wife and Josh are looking from way down at the observation. Just shaking their heads like, can't believe we even went up as far as we did. And we stopped. And I just said, look, I don't feel comfortable. What do you think? He's like, I think we should go back. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I've ever been more grateful for a decision in my life, but thankfully he did it. And we started heading back down. And even heading down, you're like, you're not feeling super comfortable. And I get that there's a certain coolness and cachet to say, hey, I climbed Angel's Landing. Great. You know what? I climbed it too, and I got the damn t-shirt. And unless, you're on my podcast or seeing this video, you wouldn't know whether I did it or not, right? At the end of the day, it's like, oh, was it great? Oh, hell yeah, it was fantastic. And it was. The hike up there was great. The views on top, even without going to the end of Angel's Landing, was awesome. But you just got to know your limits, man. You just got to know what's smart and what's not. And I think I'm really grateful for Zach at 23, kind of recognizing and actually proactively saying, nah, I've had enough. Because me at 23, thankfully he got his mom's brains. Because at 23, I was an idiot. Like somebody could have said, hey, Steve, there is beer at the end of Angel's Landing. And by God, I'm climbing that son of a gun, right? And I wouldn't have cared in the world. But the thing is, now as I'm 50, I realize A, my balance sucks. B, I've never been a real good climber anyway. So how many times have I fallen when the gravity was like maybe 2 feet off the ground? Now you're talking thousands of feet, perilous death, gonna suck when you hit that ground. It just doesn't, make a whole hell of a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, I can tell myself, hey, I went to the level of my comfort and I'm happy with that and I'm done, right? I don't ever need to go back. Zach, of course, Big Baller 23, says that, oh man, I'm going back. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I should have just kept going. And I'm like, dude, if you go up there by yourself, number one, your girlfriend's going to kick your ass because she was already freaking out over it, from Albuquerque. And, I will probably, if it doesn't kill you, I will murder you because I just don't think it's a necessary risk. And I think that they've already had people fall off this year. that just tells me that, this is an ill-conceived hike. Like, is not planned well. And I think because you made it all that way up there, people feel obligated. Look, you are like tired by the time you get up there. Your muscles, every core muscle in your body is aching. And now you're going to put yourself through both an emotional and mental stress on top of the fact that you're physically tired by the time you even start up this thing. Just doesn't sound like a smart decision. Separate from that, now you got a bunch of yahoos that don't know what the F they're doing up there. And now they're making your chain, literally pulling your chain. It's swinging back and forth. And these freaking parks people put it so low that you're bending over. And I'm not a tall person. I can't imagine what a tall person does. I mean, they'd have to be completely hunched over. But it just made zero sense. And I'm grateful we didn't do it. I'm grateful I didn't push myself any further to go forward and do it. I think I made the smart, intelligent decision. So it was a highlight from the trip, I guess is what I'm going to say. There were several highlights. There were several things that I can look back. Hey, chill out, man. Chill. Dog has got ear issues, man. I just don't know what's going on with him. Anyway, several things that really, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the trip. But I never got back into that vacation mode, I guess is my entire point of this whole rant, right? And I think at the end of the day, as I think through it, and something that I can give you as advice is if you're really going to commit to the trip and you're really going to commit to unplug and you're really going to commit to, delegating responsibilities back at work to somebody else, or you're in a position to be able to step away where things don't just fall apart, then you need to do it. And I did not. And I so desperately needed to. As I said in my previous episode, I'm going through some health stuff that the stress levels and just the issues in general are so high that I can't continue to run at the pace that I am. And so the downtime was really necessary and needed. And I just never felt like I got it. And so I don't know what I'm going to do the do-over, but I'm going to have to do something. And I have to publicly apologize to my family for being kind of a pill. And I think part of it was the stress level. Part of it was not being able to compartmentalize not only just the work, but everything that I've just gone through and the issues and struggles that I've had. I was really trying to be a good, a good steward, a good participant, not whine and complain. And this thing absolutely kicked my ass in terms of my physicality. And then it was setting off, some ongoing continued nerve pain due to the shingles that I just went through. And but I didn't want to whine. I didn't want to be that guy. And I didn't want them to not do something because oh my God, Dad, I know how frustrating that is. No offense to my dad, but we had a couple of vacations where we took him on and we had stuff planned that we thought he could do. And then he couldn't because he couldn't see or couldn't quite make the hike or the walk or whatever. And it was just such a huge letdown. The family was always great about it, but you could always see the level of disappointment. And so I didn't want to be that dude, and I never want to be that guy. And so I kind of soldiered through it, right, and powered on, but it was still not something that I truly got to experience and appreciate for the value of it. Of course, now as I sit here on a Saturday afternoon in blazing hot Austin, Texas, I'm thinking to myself, well, it was blazing hot there, but it was, you can get under a tree and it would drop by 20 degrees. And, I did have a lot of amazing views and a lot of different experiences that, I have to give my wife credit for because she planned it. I wouldn't have had those. And so as I look back in my journal and some of the things that I did, I captured some drawings. I'm a horrible drawer, but, I doodled some spots that we went to. I can look back at our pictures. I've done that several times this week, and it actually has proven to be a very relaxing, calming thing for me to do. A little bit of regret when I look at them because it's like, hey, dude, you did not take the time to pay attention to the vacation when you were there, and now you're kind of pining for what you had, even if it was you guys all complaining about whether we eat chicken versus hamburgers or whatever it was, right? Stupid stuff. But there is some value in that, right? There is some value that I can recognize and appreciate, and it gives you yet another proof point for what you want to do differently the next time around. And so I don't know where I will have absolutely no input on going next year, but you all know my vote, right? Crystal, or not a crystal, it won't be crystal clear. I want to be on a river with trout or big salmon or something that's going to come and try and take my fly, not my fly on my pants, my fly on my end of my line. And because that would be, I mean, actually that would be kind of adventurous, right? If you were, hey, look, the fish could eat you too. I mean, we could go shark fishing, but I don't want to do that. I just want to be in a mountain stream somewhere, and the possibility that a little fish is going to swim by and go like, hey, what's up? I'm going to take your fly, give you a little jolt in the adrenaline department, and allow you to try and catch me. And that's calm and peace and everything. Just the wind through the trees, the water rushing past me, the coolness of the, mist off the river. I mean, that's heaven. Will we go there next year? I don't know. But I also do know one thing. I don't have to wait for the family vacation to do those things. I need to make my mental and physical health a priority, and maybe I'll just go do some of those trips on my own. If that's not what everybody else wants to do, great, no problem. But I'm going to take a couple days off and go do it, and kind of maybe potentially get myself a little bit of a do-over on this summer. But full credit to my family for being amazing during the trip. Even though we fought and argued, I would take full responsibility for some of that stuff. I mean, gosh, I know that's hard to admit because I'm here telling you how to be good, better ripplers, how to build better relationships, and here I am like just blowing them up. It just happens. Stress, family vacations. You probably remember it as a kid. Never went the way you expected it to. But you know what? At the end of the day, the memories that did go well in most of those vacations were probably the ones that really stand out. Not the BS of, stress levels and arguing and, just the family drama in general. So, I got to remember that, and I got to pay attention to it. So I am just kind of giving you a recap of the last couple of weeks and kind of what I'm recognizing, what I'm seeing. Maybe it'll benefit you before you take your next trip. Maybe it'll be, hey, I got a story. I got something I'll share with you. My vacation went, great or poorly. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see how it went. And mainly my point for today was, when you recognize that things haven't gone the way that they need to, you need to stop and appreciate, the time and energy and effort that, went towards trying to make it the best possible experience. And I know that I owe my family a do-over. I owe my family an apology for allowing some of the frustrations of things that had nothing to do with them kind of continue to be on my mind and bubble up and add to my agitation or frustration at certain times. But I have to thank my wife for planning such an amazing trip and for allowing me to walk away with some amazing pictures and some incredible video and experiences. Going to the Narrows, hiking up as far as we did in the water was great and fun. And, I've never seen anything like that. So that experience alone, when I look back on that, is at least proof that we were there. We did it. And, by God, we did it well. So, hey, before I go, I just want to remind everybody that we are at ripplecentral.com. We still have the 3rd edition, the Ripple Effect book, Maximizing the Power of Relationships for Your Life and Business. There are no vacation tales in this one, I will tell you. I will say that it's chock full of stories, ideas, and strategies to make your connecting better than it ever has been. We are getting huge props for this 3rd edition because we expanded it. We talked about how you connect in now this work environment that we thought was kind of going back to normal may not be, right? We may be forced to go back home because the COVID thing is starting to bubble back up. We don't know what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, we need to continue our connecting efforts, and you're going to need to be able to have some ideas and thoughts about how to approach continuing to build those relationships if you're forced right now to go back to a virtual environment. So that we have a whole chapter on that. And we've added some new stories and some great things on here. This is available at ripplecentral.com. It's also available at amazon.com. And I will tell you, I'm super excited, provided my voice just does not sound like 2 polecats getting after it in a sleeping bag, annoying for you. I did record this book and put some extra content in for Audible. So if you wanted to check it out, go to audible.com, type in The Ripple Effect, Maximizing the Power of Relationships for Your Life and Business, or just put my name in and The Ripple Effect. You should find it. It is a great listen. If I do say so myself, I recorded that thing. It was a labor of love. Had a great time doing it. I'd also suggest that if you are going to listen to it, you should buy the book so that if you get it off my website, I can personalize it, autograph it. One day this thing is going to hit like my lotto ticket, and I am going to be world famous, and I'll be that world famous Rippler. And you'll be like, hey, look, I got his signature. And that dude is awesome. I wouldn't want to go on vacation with him because he apparently sounds like a curmudgeon there. But in the rest of his life, when he's rippling, that dude is awesome. Anyway, just food for thought. Just had a corporate client that came back to me with feedback this week that said that they had given it to some of their important up-and-coming managers, and they're talking about it. They're using it as kind of an internal book club, but the lessons about the importance of how you lead, the importance of how you connect and engage, and the way that you represent your brand out there in the world, personally and professionally, has been eye-opening to them. And so grateful for that feedback. So I know wherever you are, or whoever you're working for, whatever organization you might be involved in, from a business perspective, maybe a nonprofit or volunteer organization, all of those folks can benefit from this book, and you can be the awesome Rippler who started it all for them. I mean, there you go, right there. RippleCentral.com, you can go there. We also have some new merch up on the website that I'd love for you to check out. I've got a new Ripple On water bottle. It says Ripple On. It's got the website, then it's got the Ripple logo. I'm showing it on the video in case you want to see it. This thing is awesome. It is 32 ounces of goodness. And I will tell you, this bottle has started so many conversations with people that see it. They're like, what is that? That's, I haven't seen that. I've seen, I don't even know what the other ones are out there, but I can see the little caveman one. What is that one? I've got one. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, these types of bottles have really kind of taken off. And it's so important for you. You need to drink 4 of these a day, my friends, to get the gallon of water that you should be doing in your physical life. This makes it easy for you to monitor it. It makes it easy for it to stay cold or hot. And it is going to be the fashion accessory of all ages. I'm telling you, you need to order that right now off RippleCentral.com. I will tell you, we have some new hats up there. We got some dressy hats. We got some, fun hats that show that you're part of the Ripple tribe. And we got more stuff coming, my friends. We got more stuff coming, but I would sure appreciate if you would, check it out. And if so inclined, be sure to order and represent that you're part of the Ripple Nation, right? You are part of the Ripple movement, and I would greatly appreciate that. Well, I have talked long enough. I hope you've stayed this long. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking a listen like I asked for previously. If you like this podcast, find some value in anything I say, I would appreciate a review on Apple. That just helps us get more exposure. I would certainly love it if you'd share it if you're on another podcast environment, a different streaming platform. We're on Amazon Alexa. We are on Alexa, don't talk. Alexa, cancel. Thank you. We're on multiple Google Play, etc. There's a whole lot of environments that have picked up the Ripple effect. Tell me which one you're on. And then if you know somebody that could benefit from this crazy man's talking, I would appreciate if you would be so kind as to refer them and let them know, to reach out to me and say, hey, so-and-so referred me, so I can, offer a big warm thanks for doing so. And so I also want to do 2 more plugs, and then I will be out of here. Be sure to check out my other podcast show, Conversations with Asha and Steve. We live stream generally every Friday on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Twitter. Conversations with Asha and Steve is actually been a show I've done for over 3 years with Dr. Asha Prasad, who is amazing. We talk about some really fun topics I think you could benefit from, and I think you'll love that show. So, pop on over there, check that one out. And I just started a new show in June with a good friend of mine, a coach up in Canada who I've known for a long time, big supporter of the Ripple, Donna Carlin. She's a shadow coach. She has worked with some of the world's biggest leaders, and she has been amazing, just an amazing person for my life and and just a huge contributor for me. But at the end of the day, she and I decided to put together a show called Inquiring Minds. And Donna poses a really important question that is on her mind or something that's come up with one of her important clients. And she and I just riff. And it has been so much fun. So I definitely would appreciate if you would, check those 2 shows out and subscribe to them as well. And let me know what you think of them. Until next time, my friends, go out there in the world, do some good. And as always, rip the lawn.